Welcome to the Wine Find Talks. I'm Carolyn Evans-Hammond, and today we have a very special guest with us, Edouard Baijot from E&J Gallo Winery in California. Now, Edouard is an MW, which is a Master of Wine. He's also the International Director of Luxury Wines for Gallo. So welcome so much, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Caroline. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today and to taste some wine with you.
Speaking of that, now we're tasting a bottle from Napa.
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
So today we are tasting our Louis M. Martini Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon 2019. So it's a vintage we've just released, and I particularly love this wine for two reasons. The vintage itself, but also for the final blend. When we purchased Louis M. Martini in 2002, the second largest component of the blend was Merlot. And year after year, we move for Petite Syrah, and we also use a lot of fruit coming from the valley floor, and then we decided to move to benchland and mountain fruits. And also now, most of the wine, 100% of the grapes come from our own vineyards. For the 2019 vintage, we decided to change a bit the final blend, and we came back to a classic Bordeaux blend. So it means that we don't have Petite Syrah anymore, and we have a proportion of Cabernet Sauvignon, 89%, 4% of Merlot, 3% Cabernet Franc, 3% Petit Verdot, and 1% Malbec.
Now that it's a Bordeaux style blend,
Yeah.
just for our viewers, what does that mean? How would that differ from a more classic California blend?
You have a lot of classic Bordeaux blend in California, in Napa, but some years ago we decided to have a lot of Petite Syrah in our blend. When I say a lot, it's between 7 and 10% of Petite Syrah for the intensity it brought to the wine, for the spicy character, for the backbone as well. But now we would like to have something a bit more elegant with more acidity. We don't want to have wine above 14.5% alcohol, so that's the reason why we believe that Bordeaux varieties will be better for the wine. So with a higher proportion of Cabernet Franc, which brings some freshness, which brings some acidity to the wine, some Merlot and Malbec for the juiciness. So we think that the Bordeaux varieties will give us a better wine for the future. So, but also when it comes to the sourcing, because at Louis Martini we have a strong affinity for mountain fruits. And this wine is mainly made with fruit coming from the east part of the Napa Valley, on the Vaca Mountain. So you have fruit coming from Pop Valley, from Chill Valley, from Pitcher Hill, Atlas Peak, and also from William Hill. William Hill is an estate we own in a bench, in Silverado Bench, in the south part of the Napa Valley. And it gives a fruit with a beautiful acidity, with a tight structure, and always with this black currant note. So very interesting, while Chill Valley and Pop Valley will give a bit more of juiciness to the wine, more red fruit character, boysenberry. And I think most of the intensity and the tension you get from this wine comes also from the small proportion of grapes we have from Stagecoach and Monterosso. 5% of the fruit come from Stagecoach and 10% from Monterosso. So on the other side of the Mayacamas, in Sonoma Valley, that's an estate we purchased in 1938, and it gives Cabernet with a lot of intensity, with a lot of minerality, earthiness, and freshness. That's what I love in this wine. This wine is beautiful because it's fresh, intense, and very elegant.
Well, have a taste with me. My overall impression is one of real tension as well as mid-palate plumpness. So you have this structural dimension or this texture that you don't often find in, I think, many California Cabernet-driven wines. Would it be fair to say that you think of this wine as a terroir-driven wine?
It's definitely an expression of the Napa Valley. Terroir-driven wine, I would not say that because it's a blend of different vineyards. So you have the terroir expression of each vineyard. As I explained before, William Hill, brings a bit of acidity, a bright structure, and also a black fruit character, while Monterosso will bring this earthiness and this firm acidity, but also this minerality, this kind of graphic nuts. Yeah.
Yes.
So, of course, there is some terroir expression on this wine, but at the end, the complexity from this wine come from the diversity. So diversity of grapes and diversity of terroir, diversity of vineyards. So that's what I call a blend. But I love this wine because it's a pure expression of Napa Valley. But also, I love this wine because of the vintage. If you think about 2019 vintage, a vintage which started a bit late, we had a very wet winter, a cool spring, so the bud break was a bit later than usual, but you have a beautiful, ripening season. It was warm, but without any heat spikes, so you didn't have any problem with the maturation, so it was a very even ripening, and you had a mid-end season. So, you had at the same time the structure, the fruit concentration you expect from Napa Valley, but a beautiful acidity, a beautiful freshness. And it makes this vintage so interesting for me. When you compare to 18 was big, but a bit more muscular, so you had more concentration on the mid palate, but here it's a bit more elegant, it's a bit fresher. And also I believe the Cabernet Franc, plays a role on that, and this wine will age beautifully. It's beautiful to drink now. The tannins are very soft, it's ripe, it's a beautiful wine, but you have everything you expect in a wine, to make it interesting in a few years' time. Yes. So in 10 years, you have the acidity, you have some concentration, you have some flavor, some richness. So believe me, this one in 10 years will be even more interesting than now.
I can definitely see the ageability. This is certainly cellar worthy. And I love what you said there, where it's also accessible, because the very best wines that do age are also, the very best ones are accessible young too.
That's something also very important with the wine from Napa. People can enjoy it when it's young, so you can put it in a decanter, but it's 10 o'clock in the morning and we have a glass of wine and it's not a problem. So this one is beautiful right now, but in 10 years time or even a bit better before 10 years, but you will have these tertiary developments. You will have, this black currant leaf, this tobacco leaf, this cigar box character, dark chocolates, which will be a bit more dominant into the wine. So now you have beautiful food expression, but with some development in the bottle, you will have all these additional layers, so which make for me the wine a bit more exciting.
Yes.
But all depends, your taste. We are all different, and that's the beauty of wine. So that's what I love with this wine.
I love that, because all of those illusions you referred to are emerging on the finish in a very sure way. I agree, they will come out. So really, this is a bit of a treasure box in a glass.
You have everything you expect in a wine from Napa: the structure, the balance, the concentration, the habitability for aging, this beautiful food expression, and at the same time, the signature from the 2019 vintage. And trust me, this vintage will be beautiful for Napa Valley and for age-worthy wine.
I like to hear that, because I know that 2018 got a lot of accolades, but the 2019 proof that it can be also very beautiful.
18 was also a classic vintage, but again, you had some heat spikes, so sometimes you have a bit more herbal character on the 18. You have more density. It's bigger.
Yes.
Maybe I love the 19 better because it's a bit softer and it's a bit more, I would say, restrained. Even if it's not the proper word for Napa, but it's more elegant. You have more energy, you have more tension. Yeah. And again, what I like is the freshness. This wine keeps your palate fresh.
Yes.
So that's what I love with fine wine.
Yes. Well, elegance, energy, and tension in a wine is fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Enjoying a glass of wine with me today.
Cheers.
Cheers.